When she was just 6 years old, Ai Tui witnessed her mother's murder. Soldiers came to her village in Myanmar, looting and killing. Alone and frightened, I joined fellow villagers fleeing the bloodshed. Like hundreds of thousands before them, they walked through the Myanmar jungle to cross the border into neighbouring Thailand and found shelter in makeshift camps. Today, the camps have been here for 30 years. Ai is now 20. She's lived at the largest camp, Mae La, for 14 years. At one time, it was home to 45,000 Myanmar refugees. There's been 6 decades of bitter conflict in Myanmar. Government has fought rebel, community has fought community. But now, finally, there are peace talks, human rights reform, and preparations to send the refugees home. An aspiration you'd think many would welcome, but most do not want to go. Many people in the camps have never seen or cannot remember Myanmar. Almost half the people here at Mae La are under 17. The prospect of being taken to a country about which they've heard so many frightening things fills them with fear. Many here have little knowledge of what's beyond the guard wire and sentry posts. They're forbidden by the Thai authorities to stray more than a few kilometres from the perimeter. The refugees are stateless and without identification. Mae La is the only home they know. But Thailand will not give the refugees citizenship. It would like to see the camps closed. Even though they've been here since the 1980s, Thailand still classifies these camps as temporary shelters. Access by outsiders is strictly controlled. We were allowed a brief visit, around 3 hours, but we were accompanied by guards at all times, and what we could film was severely restricted. There are now 9 camps remaining, with a population in excess of 100,000. I found the people to be open, friendly and resilient. They live in bamboo and thatch huts, which are basic and sit closely together. But that proved dangerous in March 2013. At another camp, Ban Mae Surin, a cooking fire spread out of control. The flames ripped through the settlement. 37 people, including young children, were killed and more than 200 injured. 400 homes were destroyed, along with schools, a hospital and a food warehouse. More than 2,000 people were again left homeless in the worst tragedy since the camps opened. After the fire was out, requests were made to build new huts with metal roofs to make them more fire resistant, but that was refused. Perhaps it might have signalled a more long-term arrangement. Tin Maung was a farmer in Myanmar until soldiers arrived at his village in early 2000 and forced people at gunpoint to abandon their homes. They started by burning down the mosque. Tin, his wife and 6 children sought refuge in Thailand. As a Muslim, he says he has little confidence in predominantly Buddhist Myanmar. Just when people will have to leave remains uncertain, but already thoughts are shifting from caring for the refugees to preparing them for a return to Myanmar. In the words of one aid agency, it's coming, to the end game. For the future, the best hope, as so often, may lie with the young. Tut Tet Tet Ong is 15 and has lived at Mê La for 8 years. She knows one day the camp will close. She recalls nothing of her homeland, but she has an open mind and says if conditions were right, she would be willing to return. The Karen Refugee Committee has said Myanmar's reforms signal a ray of hope. They support repatriation, but only after tough conditions have been met, from a secure countrywide ceasefire to clearing millions of landmines laid along the border. At some point, people here will have to face the prospect of leaving. They face being taken to a country which many have never seen, whose language many cannot speak, and of which their only knowledge is stories of atrocities passed down generation to generation. For now, life in the camps goes on. But those who sought refuge here fear that soon forced repatriation may come, and an unknown future will again await them. For Assignment Asia, I'm Martin Lowe at the Mê La refugee camp on the Thai-Myanmar border.